Do you find yourself making multiple trips to the bathroom every single night? It's frustrating, isn't it? Waking up feeling like you haven't had a wink of restful sleep, stumbling in the dark, only to feel the same urge again. What feels like moments later. It's a reality for so many men over 60, and it can really disrupt your quality of life. That constant need to go, the interrupted sleep. It affects everything from your energy levels during the day to your mood, and even your relationships. You might think it's just part of getting older, something you just have to put up with. But what if I told you that some of the things you're doing right before you go to bed, simple habits you might not even think twice about, could be making those nighttime trips worse? There's a connection between your evening routine and your prostate health that many people don't realize. In this video, we're going to explore 5 specific night habits that can really affect your prostate, and more importantly, what you can do about them. These aren't complicated medical procedures or expensive treatments. They're just everyday things you might be doing. Understanding these habits is the first step to potentially getting a much better night's sleep and feeling more in control. Stay with me to the very end, because there's one tip that might genuinely surprise you. Let's start with the first habit, something that seems completely innocent but can have a big impact, and that's what and when you drink in the hours leading up to bedtime. We're not just talking about drinking too much overall, though that's certainly part of it, but the timing and the type of fluids you consume. Think about your evening. Maybe you like a cup of tea while watching the news, a glass of water before brushing your teeth, or perhaps you're just trying to stay hydrated throughout the day and keep sipping right up until you turn off the light. While staying hydrated is incredibly important, especially as we get older, flooding your system with liquids in the 2 or 3 hours right before you plan to go to sleep is almost guaranteed to lead to your bladder filling up quickly while you're trying to rest. Your bladder is connected to your prostate, and an enlarged prostate, which is very common in men over 60. It's called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. Though we don't need the jargon, just know it's a common issue, can already make it harder for your bladder to empty completely. When you add a large volume of liquid on top of that in the evening, you're putting extra pressure on a system that's already working less efficiently. It's like trying to push a lot of traffic through a narrow road during rush hour. It's just going to back up. So, the actionable step here is simple in principle. Though it might take a little conscious effort to implement, try to front-load your fluid intake earlier in the day. Make sure you're drinking plenty throughout the morning and afternoon. Aim to get most of your daily water intake before, say, 6 or 7 p.m. After that, you can still have sips if you feel thirsty, but avoid having large glasses of water, multiple cups of tea, or other beverages. It's not about dehydrating yourself. It's about managing the timing so your body has time to process the fluids, and your bladder has a chance to empty properly before you settle down for the night. You might find that just this one change significantly reduces the number of times you have to get up. Now, let's refine that a little bit, because it's not just the volume of fluid, it's also what's in the fluid. This brings us to this second night habit that can really trouble your prostate: consuming caffeine or alcohol in the evening. Both of these substances are known bladder irritants. Caffeine, found in coffee, many teas, even some decaf varieties, chocolate, and fizzy drinks, acts as a diuretic, meaning it makes your body produce more urine. It also can stimulate the bladder muscle, increasing that urgent feeling. Having a coffee after dinner or a strong cup of tea while watching TV late in the evening is basically inviting your bladder to wake you up a few hours later. Alcohol is arguably even worse. It's also a diuretic, increasing urine production, but it also affects the muscle around the bladder and the prostate, potentially making symptoms like frequency and urgency worse. Plus, alcohol can disrupt your sleep quality generally, making you more likely to wake up anyway. And if you wake up, you're more likely to notice that full bladder feeling. Think about times you've had a drink or two in the evening. Did you notice you had to get up more during the night? It's a common effect. So, the practical advice is to limit or ideally avoid caffeine and alcohol in the later part of the day, especially in the few hours before bed. If you enjoy a hot drink in the evening, Switch to a decaffeinated herbal tea that isn't known to be a diuretic like chamomile or peppermint. Rather than green or black tea, if you like a drink with dinner, try to make that your last one. And have it with your meal rather than lingering over it for hours afterwards. It's about creating a buffer zone between consumption and sleep, giving your body time to process these substances before you lie down for the night. It takes discipline, especially if these are long-held habits. But the potential reward of uninterrupted sleep is huge. Remember, small, consistent changes are often the most effective. Don't feel like you have to cut everything out entirely from day one, but consciously start reducing and shifting your intake earlier in the day. Experiment and see what works best for you. Even just cutting back on that late-night cup of tea or limiting yourself to one small drink much earlier in the evening can make a difference. These first two habits are closely related to fluids, but there are other things you do or don't do in the evening that play a role. For instance, have you ever thought about what you eat late at night and how that might affect things? Let's move on to the third habit that can impact your prostate health at night: eating a heavy meal or certain types of food late in the evening. Just like with fluids, your body needs time to digest food. When you eat a large meal or foods that are difficult to digest right before bed, your body is still actively working when you're trying to rest. This can disrupt sleep, but certain foods are also known to be bladder irritants, similar to caffeine and alcohol. Spicy foods, acidic foods like tomatoes or citrus fruits, and even artificial sweeteners can sometimes irritate the bladder lining, increasing the urge to urinate. Eating these types of foods, especially in large quantities, close to bedtime can exacerbate nighttime urinary symptoms. Think about your evening meal. Is it late? Is it substantial? Does it include spicy dishes or a lot of tomato-based sauces? Your digestive system slows down overnight, and putting a heavy load on it just before you want to relax and sleep isn't ideal. It's not just about indigestion. The body's overall activity level and internal processes are heightened when digesting a large meal. The recommendation here is to try and eat your evening meal earlier, ideally at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to bed. This gives your body ample time to digest the food before you lie down. It also allows for any potential bladder irritation from specific foods to subside before you're trying to sleep. If you do feel hungry later in the evening, opt for a light, easily digestible snack, like a small piece of fruit, avoiding acidic ones if they affect you, or a few plain crackers. Avoid anything spicy, acidic, or heavily processed late at night. Pay attention to how different foods affect you. Some people are more sensitive to certain irritants than others. Keeping a simple food diary for a few days might help you identify if a particular type of meal or snack is coinciding with worse nighttime symptoms. This isn't about strict dieting. It's about being mindful of the timing and nature of your evening intake to support better sleep and reduce the strain on your bladder and prostate system. Now, transitioning from what you consume to what you do or don't do in the evening, let's look at the fourth night habit: not having a consistent wind-down routine or allowing stress to dominate your evenings. Stress and poor sleep quality have a complex relationship with prostate health. Chronic stress can contribute to inflammation in the body, including potentially in the prostate. Stress can also tighten pelvic floor muscles, which can affect bladder function. Furthermore, if you're lying in bed feeling stressed, anxious, or keyed up from a busy day, or too much stimulation like watching intense TV shows or scrolling on screens, you're less likely to fall asleep easily or stay asleep. And as we mentioned earlier, if you wake up for other reasons, you're more likely to notice that urge to urinate. A chaotic, stressful evening routine doesn't prepare your body or mind for rest, which can indirectly worsen nighttime prostate symptoms. Think about your typical evening. Are you rushing around until the last minute? Are you engaging in activities that make you feel stressed or agitated? Are you spending a lot of time on screens right before bed? The blue light from phones, tablets, and computers can suppress melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep. Developing a consistent, calming wind-down routine in the hour or two before bed can make a significant difference. This isn't about being rigid, but about creating a predictable signal to your body that it's time to prepare for rest. This might involve reading a physical book, listening to calming music or a podcast, doing some gentle stretching or relaxation exercises, taking a warm bath, or practicing mindfulness or meditation. The key is to find activities that help you relax and feel peaceful. Limit exposure to screens in the hour before bed, if you must use a device. Many now have night mode settings that reduce blue light. Creating this buffer zone between the day's activities and sleep helps to lower stress levels. Promotes better sleep quality and reduces the likelihood of waking up frequently, which in turn can mean fewer trips to the bathroom. It's about telling your body it's safe to relax and rest, which can have positive ripple effects on various systems, including your urinary tract. This habit is less directly linked to the prostate than fluid intake, but the impact of stress and poor sleep on overall health and symptom management is well documented. By addressing stress and improving sleep hygiene, you're creating a more favorable environment for your body to manage existing prostate issues. These habits, managing fluid timing and type, watching what and when you eat, and creating a calming wind-down routine, are all within your control and can significantly influence how your prostate behaves overnight. But there's one more area that's crucial, and it's something many people overlook when thinking about nighttime issues. We've talked about what you consume and how you prepare for rest mentally, but the fifth night habit relates to physical activity, or perhaps the lack of it in the evening, and also how you manage your bladder right before you get into bed. Let's address the physical activity first, because while strenuous exercise close to bedtime isn't recommended as it can be stimulating, being entirely sedentary all evening isn't ideal either. Gentle movement can be beneficial. Something as simple as a short, leisurely stroll after an early dinner, or some light stretching, can help with overall circulation and muscle tone. While this might not seem directly related to your prostate, at night, regular, moderate physical activity throughout the day and even gentle movement in the evening supports overall pelvic health and can improve bladder function over time. Sitting for prolonged periods in the evening without moving much can potentially contribute to fluid retention in the legs, which then gets reabsorbed into the bloodstream when you lie down, leading to increased urine production overnight. Breaking up long periods of sitting with a short walk or standing up and moving around can help counteract this. But the most crucial part of this fifth point is something you do right at the end of your evening routine: how you empty your bladder before getting into bed. This might sound obvious, but many men don't fully empty their bladder each time they go, especially if they have an enlarged prostate, because the enlarged prostate can press on the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of the body. It can obstruct the flow and make it harder to completely empty the bladder. You might feel like you're finished, but there might still be a significant amount of urine left in there. This is known as incomplete emptying, and if you go to bed with a bladder that isn't truly empty, it won't take long for it to fill up again, leading to those disruptive nighttime trips. The actionable tip here is to try double voiding right before you get into bed. This involves urinating as much as you can, then waiting for a few moments, perhaps 30 seconds to a minute, and trying to urinate again. You might be surprised how often you can produce a bit more urine the second time around. You can also try changing position slightly while you're waiting or trying again. Sometimes leaning forward a little can help. The aim is to empty the bladder as completely as possible before you settle in for the night. This reduces the starting volume of urine in the bladder, meaning it will take longer to fill to the point where it wakes you up. This simple technique, combined with managing your fluid intake earlier in the evening, can be incredibly effective in reducing nighttime frequency. It's a practical strategy that directly addresses the issue of residual urine, which is a common challenge with age-related prostate changes. It requires a little patience, but taking that extra minute or two in the bathroom can potentially save you multiple trips later on. So, those are the 5 night habits we've explored: managing fluid intake timing and type, being mindful of late-night eating and certain foods, creating a calming wind-down routine to reduce stress and improve sleep, incorporating gentle evening movement, and practicing double voiding right before bed. None of these individually are magic cures, but when you look at them together, they represent a powerful set of lifestyle adjustments you can make in your evening that can significantly impact your prostate and your sleep. Remember, experiencing some changes in urinary habits as you get older is common, especially for men, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer through sleepless nights. Small, Consistent changes to these evening habits can make a tremendous difference to how often you're getting up, and consequently, the quality of sleep you get. It's about giving your body the best possible chance to rest and function efficiently overnight. Don't feel overwhelmed. Pick one or two of these suggestions to focus on first. Perhaps starting with managing your fluid intake or trying double voiding, and see what kind of impact they have. Then, gradually introduce others. Be patient with yourself. It takes time to build new habits, and the effects might not be immediate. But consistently applying these principles can lead to real improvements in your nighttime symptoms and overall well-being. Getting a good night's sleep is fundamental to your health and happiness at any age, and it's absolutely achievable even with age-related changes like prostate enlargement. I'd love to hear about your experiences. Have you tried any of these strategies? What has worked for you? Please share your thoughts and tips in the comments section below. Your insights could be really helpful to others watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That tells me I'm providing valuable content. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. I share regular tips and information specifically for people over 60 on staying healthy, active, and living your best life. Don't let disrupted sleep define your nights. Take charge of these simple habits and reclaim your rest. Live your best life at every age.